Welcome to Point Me to Jesus. I'm your host, Tara McCleary Reeves, and I am thrilled to introduce you today to two special guests that you may already be familiar with, Tommy Woodard and Eddie James, also known as the Skit Guys. And we are seeing them move from the community stage to the big leagues as we are talking today about their first full-length feature film, which drops on May 13th. You can get your tickets now. Make sure the theaters in your communities are packed as they star in Family Camp. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Did you ever dream that you would one day be movie stars?
Well, let's no, but we sure had the time of our lives making Family Camp. When the faith-based films started coming out about 15 years ago, it really was that thing between two, high school buddies that have always loved movies going, well, we're doing stuff for churches. Maybe we could have a shot in this world, as it kept opening up. So it was a bit of a dream headed that way, but we are so excited.
Mm-hmm. And the message of this movie is so important too, about family and second chances. Tommy, did y'all have a lot of input in the screenwriting or the theme of this particular film?
Yeah, we really did. The primary heavy lifting was done by Brian Cates and Renee Gutteridge. But with all of the projects that we do, it's a team effort. And so once there was kind of the bones for the movie, we all came in, and it was really nice to see the whole team go, well, you know what? I think this is important for dads. Wait, this is important for moms and wives and kids. And so I think there's a really great messages in there for everybody.
Yeah. And Eddie, what do you think the biggest takeaway is going to be?
I hope, we've always said, even with our things that we do for churches, our shorts or mini movies for churches, we've always said humor breaks down walls for truth to enter. If you could get someone to laugh, you could get them to listen, and you just have something worthwhile to say. We get it. Comedy, not everybody can do comedy. Like if we do a drama workshop or something like that, I'll always ask the question, which is harder, drama or comedy? And your brain goes, well, drama's harder. No, comedy's harder. However it's worked, I think being two high school buddies, we just have that ability we make ourselves laugh. So I think that translates into videos, and hopefully it'll translate into Family Camp. But hopefully the biggest takeaway is that parents, grandparents, like they're looking to the left, they're looking to the right, they're seeing family members laugh, they're laughing themselves. And with that, hopefully that ointment, so to speak, they can leave the theaters going, you know what? And God moments come up. Just precious little moments come up about maybe one of the characters and something that they're dealing with. Everything we do has humor, heart, and him. Humor, heart, and him. So that's always baked into what we do. It's so be it also for this movie here. And we hope people just go out, and the parents get to be heroes in a lot of ways, that they get to have things to talk about because of this movie.
And I think one of your lines, Eddie, is even the importance of God doesn't make junk. Mm. And, in this age of so much of a crisis with self-esteem, what did that line mean to you?
Tara, I think growing up in a kind of a broken, dysfunctional home, I think I'd probably always looked in the mirror, even as a high school student, no matter what kind of image I would try to personify or try to put on a happy face. I think I always looked in the mirror and just never felt like enough, always felt like junk. When someone says enough stuff to you, you start to believe it in the back of your head. No matter what you read in the Bible or anything else, it's just compacted in there. Mm-hmm. And then there just comes a point where you're like, no, I'm God's workmanship. Ephesians 2:10. I'm God's original masterpiece. And when you start really really going, okay, God, you do the possible, I'll do the possible and you do the impossible in my life. I think you start realizing, okay, I'm not junk. Those were all lies. And so I hope that message can get out to a lot of people. I think we all kind of look in the mirror and feel like we're not enough. And hopefully it can be just a general reminder that God doesn't make junk.
Tommy, in your character, you're very busy, which all of us can identify with. I think it was Corrie ten Boom that once said, if Satan can't make you bad, he'll make you busy. Mm-hmm. Do you relate at all, or did you, to your character, the stresses that he felt?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. To be honest with you, Tara, I didn't think that I would relate to that character because he's very business driven. And as a pastor, that's like not on my radar. But, once we dug into it, it was like, oh, wait, it's just like you said, we are all busy. Most of us are busier than God intended us to be.
Right.
And so for my character, Tommy Ackerman, and his journey through this movie, he really gets to see, oh, okay, you know what? What was it I was thinking of just the other day? The immediate has taken over the important, and that's what happens with this character so often is these immediate issues that he has to deal with work takes away from what is really important, which is his faith and his family. And in the journey through this movie, he gets to see, oh, okay, you know what? I need to be taking care of the important, and I'll still get the immediate taken care of, but the important always has to be the important.
Did y'all find any conflict that you had not experienced previously in the decades of your friendship that kind of erupted because of the pressure? I'm assuming there was a little bit more pressure doing a film, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I tell you, we have been acting as if for probably the past 10 years, as if we were going to be able to do this. So even when we were making those 3-minute short films, we had the same kind of set as if we were making a feature-length movie. So we were kind of prepared there. What we weren't prepared for was a pandemic. And that was that was what was crazy. But you saw God's hand in it, because when we started filming, we were the only film being filmed in America. And there was only one other film being filmed in the world. And we were very cautious. We did not scoff at what was going on. We knew we needed to take care of everybody. So we had things in place to take care of people, but no one got sick. And so, God, whatever those issues were, God seemed to take care of all of them.
Yeah. We started, it's funny when you start, at your church, we're both at churches. And so you start just hearing the stories, and whether it was on Zoom or whether, you would meet somebody at a coffee shop or whatever, or, during that time, you would just hear the stories and you would hear of so much cratering. You would hear so much of, I didn't realize this about my personality when I'm squeezed, and you see dads, you see moms just fraught with tension and anxiety and trying to know how to navigate, me as well. And so I think there was a real just onus to go, how do we make this real? How do we make these characters real to where people can buy into them and go, that's me, they're reading my mail, and also just see how God can use those situations to make us better people. He's always chiseling away the things that don't belong there and perfecting in us those things, those values and the goodness of our hearts and souls and minds with that. But yeah, it was huge. That was a huge takeaway for sure.
And the fact that Tommy said that it was the only movie at the time that was actually I don't know, that just struck me. And again, like Tony Evans said, that the whole pandemic was a divine disruption. And, the Lord is just constantly just doing things to just cause our eyes to focus solely on him. And y'all do that so well through your friendship. And I did want to talk a little bit about your most recent book, Smells Like Bacon. I feel like we need to plug that because, again, just like family is under attack, I think friendships are under attack as well. And I have always thought, just watching y'all, that if one of the biggest weaknesses I've always felt that Job had was the fact that he was a terrible friend picker.
True.
Maybe if he had picked his friends better, his crisis would not have been as heavy as it was. And I think y'all kind of inspired that thought, just watching you and learning a little bit of your history, that you've been friends since high school and that you are encouragers and that you are edifiers. So tell us a little bit about the importance of godly friendships.
Oh man, it's vital, what you will see on the screen is our friendship lived out. Even though it's different characters, it's still us together.
Yeah, and y'all got to keep your first names, which was nice.
It sure made it easy. It made it easier on us to know who I was talking to. Friendship is so important. I think sometimes we can forget that family and friendships, they don't just exist. They exist because God created them, and you can look throughout the Bible and you can see some beautiful pictures of friendships. Eddie and I have been friends for over 30 years. And I mean, close friends, you know, there's maybe people I've known longer than I've known Eddie, but I'm not close to them. And to have a friendship that's going to last for 30 years where we travel together, we work together, we do everything you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to do business with your friends, you know, and it works. And so after doing that for 30 years, you pick up these, what we call bacon bits, you know, of friendship that you go, you know what, this should be shared with people. Like if we were just to hold on and hoard what God has blessed us with, well, that's not biblical. Biblical is when God blesses you, he blesses you to bless others. And so really this book is a way to try and bless other people with what we've been blessed with.
Yeah. And Tara, we live it out. There was one thing with the chapter. One of the chapters is called going through the tunnel of chaos. And I think in our friendship, that's what you do in any friendship, in any relationship. You know, the tunnel of love is this beautiful swan, right, that you both get into, right? The tunnel of chaos is an ugly goose, right? Nobody wants to get in that thing. Nobody wants to talk about your problems or the conflict or, you know, what is unbearable. But when you go through the tunnel of chaos, it leads to the tunnel of love in any relationship. And so that is one of the chapters in that book that we do. We'll even say, hey, will you go through the tunnel with me a little bit here? And you kind of brace yourself going, here we go. But we do it because we know it ends in goodness. We know it adds to the value of this relationship. Yeah.
Did y'all feel any of that on set? And I know I'm sure the chaos was there just with the pressure, and then you had the pandemic. But do y'all do devotions together on set, or is there something that y'all do in terms of iron sharpens iron, just that daily accountability as friends that you have?
On set, we had actually every day there would be a local pastor that would show up and would provide devotions for everyone that wanted to participate in it.
Oh, that's cool.
And so that was really cool. A great way to involve the community and then have some different voices speak into everything that was happening. I would say between the two of us, there's complete iron sharpening iron. And it's not that Eddie and I sit down and do devotions together. It's not that, hey, how you doing on this? It's really more of doing life together. That's the term we like to use. We like to do life together. And so what that means is if Eddie has something that God has spoken to him about, he doesn't hesitate to go, man, I was reading this today and God spoke to my heart about it. You know, if we know that we know what our foibles are, what our struggles are. And so it's not that, you know, accountability can be so rough sometimes. Like somebody's like, hey, I need to check up on, you know, it's not that. It's as my friend, hey, I haven't asked you about this in a while. How you doing? You know, or for real, just this past week, you know, there's a lot of pressure right now as we're kind of trying to get the word out about the movie. And I was able to go to Eddie and go, hey, check in on me. You know, my struggles. And this is what I'm struggling with right now. So I think that's that real being able to be just completely genuine with someone else.
One thing that hit me during the movie, and it happens all the time, especially when we travel and when we, you know, go do shows and stuff like that. Another one of the chapters in the book, and we live it out, especially in the movie, you never leave a man behind. You will never see me walk away and go do something else if Tommy's with a whole bunch of people, and vice versa. Or we never play tricks on one another. There will never be someone going, hey, it'd be great if we could go get Eddie, or hey, it would be great if we go get Tommy. You know, there's never anything like that. I know he always has my back and I have his back. And so there's that. To me, that is iron sharpening iron right there. There's a trust here that I don't get insecure about or have to wonder about, but we always have each other's backs in this relationship and in this friendship, no matter where we're at and what we're doing. And I think that played a huge part with so many cast and crew on the set of Family Camp as well.
So was it hard for y'all to get married? I mean, did y'all have to like interview each other's future spouses, or what was the dynamic? I'm curious about the dynamic there.
That's a great question. I would say that there comes a point in friendship where you don't ask your buddy if it's okay. Now, I will say this, had Eddie seen something in my wife or I'd seen something in his wife before we were married, we would have said to the other person,
Yeah.
hey, just so you know, have you noticed this?
Yeah.
But we were really blessed. Our wives get along, our families get along. We, for years, have vacation together as families. I mean, so yeah, it's just an ordained relationship.
Yeah. Tara, we being around for 30 years and traveling and being at conferences and, you know, we have seen so many speakers and bands and, you know, what have you just go by the wayside.
Yeah.
You know, they rise to a level of fame or a success or whatever that is. And a lot of those times I mean, with us, our wives have always said yes for however that's worked. The beauty of this is because there's two women, two godly women that have gone, yes to this friendship, yes to this pact, yes to their gifts and talents. And I mean, my goodness, if it wasn't for them, we would have been like a lot of the other ones. It wouldn't have survived.
Wow.
It would have crested and then died, you know?
That's such a beautiful testament. And are you preparing your children? I mean, you're movie stars now. So I always think about the children. Sometimes they're more affected than the parents are. So what are you doing to kind of put those guardrails in place?
Well, first of all, I don't think we're movie stars, but I appreciate that.
Yeah,
you can totally keep saying it. It feels pretty good. Right? But I would say I'm fortunate. I have adult children. Like my daughter is 24 and my son is 20. They both got to work behind the scenes on the movie and we're a part of it. If anything, like my daughter will occasionally be like, Dad, like you guys post so much on social media now. Like, did you see this? Did you see this? And most days I don't see it. So I'm like, hey, thanks.
Yeah.
My son is awesome. I have so much fun with him. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. You know, I met one of his friends at college and the friend said, oh my gosh, it is such a treat to meet you. And my son looked at his friend and went, why? Like, why do you want to meet my dad? You know,
when our girl, Tommy's daughter, how old did you?
She's 24.
24. I have an 18-year-old named Ainsley. I have two daughters, an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old. One night when the girls were little, Abby is eating dinner.
Oh
and
yeah.
This is the epitome of the answer to your question. Go ahead.
Yeah, she's eating dinner and she just stops and she just sighs.
How old is she?
She's at this point, she's probably 8.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be my guess. And so just this big sigh, you know, and I was like, sweetie, what's wrong? And she goes, Dad, what's going to happen to Skit Guys when you and Eddie are done? And I was like, I don't know. Like, what do you think's going to happen? And just this burden of the world on her shoulders. And she
8 years old.
8 years old. She goes, oh, I guess Ainsley and I will have to do it. Maybe so.
Do they have, do any of your children have that same passion that y'all have been blessed with?
I don't know if they have the same passion, but I can honestly tell you this, and I know I'm a dad, but I've seen Abby, I've seen Hudson, I've seen my two daughters, Ainsley and JC. They are all really gifted. They are all really good. And I'm not just saying that like, I mean, I know I can as a dad, but I'm not just saying that. Like they're all really good, but as of right now, there is no passion whatsoever to take over the family business, so to speak. But Tara, I've gone on daddy-daughter dates with my girls since they were 3 years old. Like I keep the movie stubs, you know, to remind myself now because they're teenagers and they don't want to talk to me. But right now, what I love is they're not impressed by any of it, and I love that. There's a movie called Interstellar, and Matthew, I don't remember the movie. I fell asleep in it.
It was so long.
It was so long.
So boring.
But I heard this one statement from Matthew McConaughey before he went up to save the world, you know, and maybe not see his daughter anymore. He said, we exist to be memories for our kids. And that's like, like, that's a horrible thing to say. But at the end of the day, you know, no, I mean, the people that'll remember us the most are our family members, are the ones that we've loved on, that have loved us, and our kids. They're going to remember the values and the integrity and the character and the things that we did. So I think those things, to answer your question, you know, long ways, is one day they're going to look back on these things and go, oh my goodness, there was this, there was this, there was this, there was this. But right now, I love that they're unimpressed.
Yeah. And I want to say, I think what Eddie said, while it comes from Interstellar, I think it's very biblical because time and time again, particularly in the Old Testament, you see that God calls people to look back. Remember what your father Abraham did.
Yep.
Remember what your father Jacob did, And so as dads, as parents, like we need to, and moms, we need to remember that we do exist to be memories for your kids. And the question is, what kind of memories are you leaving?
Yeah. What a blessing though, because you have an incredible vault of teachable moments for your children. I mean, I've used them for our own family. I've been blessed in my own life to have those. I often think that those of us that know Jesus Christ, and when he comes back and we're raptured, that those that are left behind are going to be so blessed by your messages that, they'll be able to access now via the internet, because you have skits that are exalting truth and pointing people to Jesus. This movie does that, but the wealth of material that you have literally taken the truth of God's word and visualized it for people. That's a real gift. That's a gift for your children. That's a gift for your wives. And so I want to thank you for your discipline to do that and to record those for who knows how the Lord's going to use those in the future.
Thank you.
You are so kind.
Thank you.
I'm also a member of your audience.
All right.
So I really do love your Laugh More podcast. And another thing that I just want to plug, because laughter definitely doeth good like medicine. And what an incredible encouragement that's been as well. Is that you do that weekly? Is that correct?
WEAKLY. Yes.
That's a good one. That's a good one, Tommy.
Right on about that. I think it comes out. I do think it comes out weekly. Yeah. Eddie and I are the worst podcasters. Like we really are. Like our first 10 years of podcasting, we might have made 30.
We tried our best. We tried our best.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it does come out weekly.
I think you've done that though. It looks like to me that y'all both have been very in tune culturally your whole lives, which is not a bad thing. I listen to Dr. Billy Graham's sermons when I'm driving in the morning to take my children to school, and listening to him, and almost all of his sermons are they're so relevant because he, like Paul did, I mean, he picks out things that are in the culture to attract his audience to hear the truth. And y'all have done a great job. So you've used, the stage itself, and then the video recordings of that. And then you've just kind of moved through technology. And now again, we're back to a major motion picture and releasing on May 13th. How can our audience help you get the word out? We have a few weeks, and I want this to be a huge success for y'all as well.
Yeah, the easiest thing to do is to go to familycampmovie.com. Like all the information is there. There's one of the things that happened when we sat down with some of the producers before we even filmed. We said, listen, we've got a good relationship with the local church. We've been serving the local church for over 25 years. And we think churches might rent out theaters. And they said, no, they don't do that anymore. And we said, okay. And so what has happened is now that possibility is here, church after church after church has said, this is a great outreach opportunity, And so churches have started renting out theaters because it's just a unique thing, right? We haven't had a family-friendly, faith-based comedy. Like it hasn't existed, And so it's this thing that you go, churches are looking at it and going, well, this is a great way to reach out to people. So you can find information about group cells there. You can also find about what theaters it's showing at.
Yeah. And I would also say this too, like, I know most of the faith-based films have been dramas, and they've been a 2-ticket type situation for a moviegoer. It's been really amazing with what Tommy just said, like, no, those don't work anymore. Renting out theaters don't work anymore. They really did say a few weeks ago, oh, we haven't seen this since Fireproof. And so if you were to look at that and go, well, that was a 2-ticket type movie, women drove those movies.
Yeah, that's true.
They're even saying in marketing that men are calling, men are booking,
Yeah.
families are getting together and booking theaters because they just want a place to go to, especially after the pandemic and what we've experienced. So we are so encouraged, and we love that. And we just want to say, if anybody is listening and they don't know what we're about, we're about the 3 H's in everything that we do: humor, heart, and him. Always. We do believe in laughter. We believe it's good medicine. And if we can make you laugh, we can get you to think. And it's not going to be about us. We want you to think about, but we're going to point you to God.
Tommy, tell us a little bit about just to give us a synopsis of the movie for those that are going to go see it. We don't want to give away any of the incredible secrets, but I do want you just to give, because you're both pastors, and I think you kind of related to that invitation of family camp.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we like to say we're pastors more than pranksters, and we really do believe that. The story of family camp, the shortest way that I could say it is, my character, Tommy Ackerman, and his family are really kind of the under church, the under spiritual. They go, but they're not that involved. Eddie's family, his character, Eddie Sanders, they're the over church. They love Jesus, but they are too blessed to be stressed. It's never bad. It's those people that you love them, but you don't want to go to lunch with them. And my family gets stuck with Eddie's family in a cabin during camp for the whole week. And so what happens is, throughout the film, it is the agitation between these two types of families that God uses to kind of cut away, to mold the people to become who he wanted them to be. And through all of it, it's actually done in a very humorous way. I mean, there's a lot of laughs,
it is,
but oh my goodness, there is so much heart and there is so much of God's truth in it.
Yeah. It does remind me somewhat of the chiseling skit that y'all did years ago. I don't know how many years ago that was. I think God's you updated it. But what would you say, Eddie and Tommy, both, over the course of your skits and interpreting God's word and doing it in such a visual way, personally, which was your favorite? If our audience did visit your Skit Guys website, what would be the first one you tell somebody to check out?
Well, you just said it. It's God's chisel. Most of our skits that we do live that then become videos, a little bit of a backstory. I was at Saddleback and working there, and Rick Warren would occasionally go, "Hey, I want you to do a skit," and it was always on a Thursday night. Right. So he had his message, and then it would be, "This weekend, I want you to do a skit." And I'm like, and there's like 7 services. Right. So you're like, okay, Thursday, Friday. So every time that happened, it would be a Saturday morning. I meet with somebody and we go work, because at 4:30 on Saturday, we're up. Right. Yeah. And you're right in between sermon 2 and 3, or some point 2 and 3 or whatever. And so I remember leaving the garage not knowing what I'm going to do, but that was the typical Saturday. I have no idea. I know a sermon point, but I have no idea. And it was over Ephesians 2:10, being God's workmanship, being a poem, God's poem. I remember seeing a hammer and chisel just, in my garage, and I just remember grabbing them, going, "Well, maybe this will work." And I threw it in the car as an option. And I ended up doing that skit that weekend with a female named Diana, and it just did something. There was just something to it that was just so different. Yeah. And that skit, when Tommy took over from Diana's point of view and started doing it, that skit still to this day, we get emails about God's chisel. We could tell you so many stories of God's chisel that has nothing to do with us. And that's why I love it so much. It is just a God-given skit.
Yeah. I think for me, when you ask what's your favorite skit, it's like your children. You have a favorite one. You just can't say it out loud.
No, we don't. Wow. But you would say that one though, Tommy, too?
Oh, I love that one. I also love, we have several skits that with a little character named Little Billy. And I think like at skitguys.tv, you can watch all these things for free. They're just out there to encourage your family. And so I think anything that has Little Billy in it is fun for me, because he just kind of says what's on his mind. He has no internal dialogue. It's all outside.
In closing, I always ask my guests this question. So I'm going to ask each one of you this. Eddie, who would you say is your favorite hero of the faith from God's word?
That is really, really good. Oh my goodness. I have to pick one.
Just one.
Yeah. I would say Abraham. I love that he listened to God, and even though some of the stuff that just seems so crazy and so absurd and so outrageous, he did the possible and allowed God to do the impossible. I love that. With everything that we see in the Bible when it comes to Abraham, I would go, yeah, he was a faith follower. He did it, even if it just sounded so absurd and crazy. He kept stepping in faith and he kept saying yes to God. I would definitely say that for sure.
Tommy, you had longer to think.
I was so glad he went first on that one. I was like, Mephibosheth, no. I think the first name that came to mind for me was just Peter. I love the Apostle Peter because he just is so real. He gets it wrong so many times, and then all of a sudden when he gets it right, And I think it was probably 6 months ago or so, in my quiet time, I was reading through his epistles, and it just spoke to me so much. So I think he'd be my go-to guy.
That's awesome. Well, audience, you have met a dynamic duo today, a Jonathan and David of modern day friendship and faith. And and guys, you have encouraged our family and my life personally over the years. And I just want to commend you and say thanks for that. And thank you for doing this movie. An audience, May 13th, I want the cinemas packed out. You can advance order, get your churches to just pack out these theaters, because again, this movie is an edifying movie for all ages. And it's one that you will laugh, but also leave challenged, knowing the importance of family, the importance of faith, and the importance of second chances. Thanks, Tommy. Thank you, Eddie, for being with us today.
Thank you so much. You bless our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you.